Okay, take two. Welcome to the Leadership Challenge. This is the What's Next video after you have taken your leadership practices inventory and you have just gotten a debrief. So these are the reminders specifically for you. And those specific reminders are that the LPI is all about becoming awakened and affirmed. So recognize that there are places to celebrate with the LPI, and then there are places to become awakened. And it's completely and totally up to you what you choose to do with this information. This is all confidential, and this is only between the 2 or 3 of us that have this information. Take action and create a leadership development action plan. What do you want to do with the information that's been provided? Is there something that you want to amp up related to your strengths? Is there something really annoying that you've just got to work on that? Or is there something that is like low-hanging fruit that might be beneficial for you and in service of others and in service of your team? Share and discuss first with yourself in reflection, and then with others, and then develop a continual feedback loop with yourself. How did I do today? And then a continual feedback loop with others. And we'll get specific on that in just a minute. So we know that it's a process. We know that you've just been through your LPI debrief. We hope that it was of great value to you, as many of you are saying. But we also want you, before you take immediate action, to reflect and to sleep on it, to go back to the data again tomorrow when you can activate the other half of your brain. So recognizing, first of all, that we want to make the point that individuals were instructed always that if the behavior is not visible to them, they were to give it a 1, 2, or 3. So if you've gotten 1, 2s, or 3s, it's just because they didn't see you. If you're only seeing individuals once a month, they're probably not going to see 30 behaviors while they're with you. So that was their solution to the question that we asked them on if they're seeing the behavior. Also note, if you will, that when you move things like a score that was a 7 fairly often to a usually an 8, that does tremendous things to the data. If you move from an 8 to a 9, and 9 to a 10 engagement, there's so many different things that happen when we move the needle just a little bit that are worth investing your time and focus on. So again, let's go back to the average scores and notice that all of the observer responses, looking at it with fresh eyes, where are you and where are your observers, your direct reports, your colleagues, and others, and what are they saying? And so what are you seeing again today, now that we've talked about it, and what might be something that you want to change? With regard to the gap, you might have a gap there where you're doing this, they're just not seeing it. So you need to be intentional on how you approach things. Or with regard to, I can do better in this area and I want to, totally up to you, right? Then going to your manager and your relationship with your manager. Is your manager new? Do you see your manager once a month? Again, it is about frequency. This was a snapshot that we took, and we're going to take another snapshot at a future point. So this will give you the opportunity to be more intentional with communication and be more intentional with actions. Finally, looking at the gaps. So we know that we looked at every single gap together. And then we just asked, what are you seeing here? And what are the trends and where are the gaps and what bothers you and what doesn't? And so again, the goal is to look at those gaps and see if there's a way to decrease those gaps and to make them a little closer together. We also want to look in the mirror, right? So if we're rating ourselves a 2 and everybody else is rating us a 10, then what might we do to show up differently or believe in ourselves a little bit more? We might have additional work that we'll want to do there. So looking at the trends in the data at the qualitative areas, they're my favorite space. Not that I don't love quantitative, I do, but the qualitative gives us some rich data on things that are either reaffirming or awakening. So please do take note and underline, circle, jot down your own notes on your own feelings on different trends that you're seeing there. Putting all the pieces together takes takes time. Again, I'm going to say that reflection is one of the keys to exemplary leadership. So invest that time to reflect in yourself, in your relationships with others, in the intentions that you have moving forward. In over the course of the next year, I want to see these things happen. How can I make them happen? Who needs to be involved? What resources do I need to make this happen? And what will be the impact be once I see this happen? So if I've said three things that I want to focus on, we all look at the bottom score on, okay, I want to ask for feedback on how my actions affect other people's performance. That's an example. How do I do that intentionally? And maybe I set up meetings with others on a regular basis to ask for that feedback, specific feedback. Moving up to, I want to be more clear on my philosophy of leadership. As a leader, I know it's important for me to be clear on that. So how can I focus on that? And where am I going to invest the time in my schedule, very busy schedule, to focus on that? And then I love to talk about future trends that will influence how our work gets done. And maybe I'm great at that, but maybe I have direct reports who are also leaders who have their own teams that could do a little more of that. So I can amp that up in that way and create a culture of individuals that talk about future trends on how our work gets done. And again, it is communicating with them so that they are in the loop on what the goals are over the course of the next year and how we want to see the needle move moving forward. Remembering that they as individuals have not seen your report, so that's okay, but give them the grace and the space to digest what you're asking of them. And because they haven't seen your report, they might not know what you're talking about, and they might need a refresher on the LPI in general. So you're welcome to share any videos that we have on the LPI if needed. And then also asking them for that quarterly feedback specifically on the leadership practices, inventory behaviors, things that are positive, things that you're seeing that are happening, that are good, and how that positively impacts performance, things that are dragging a team or a person down, things that need to be changed, and then recognizing the changes that have been seen and noticeable over the past month or two or quarter. Again, it's about being intentional and putting it in the calendar. So the goal is to display exemplary leadership behaviors the majority of the time. So again, noting that this is not a one and done event. This is a process. It does take time. So give some grace to yourself, to others, into the process, and recognizing that we all need a little bit of support. We're going to ask you, if we haven't already, to clarify your personal values. What do you believe in? What do you stand for? What do you value most in life, and why? So if I were to say, oh, I value good health, right? My definition of my value will be very different from, let's say, my son's definition, where he's going to do, working out and with weights and running 10 miles with 25 50 pounds on his back, or I'm going to do something completely different and exercise in an air conditioned space and, and watch what I eat and strive for, for staying fit. So each value is personal to you, and we want to know where it shows up in your calendar and how you're honoring that value. If these are your most important values, dive deep into your clarifying statements on, like, okay, I'll live this value by this, and it will show up as this, and people will know it's one of my top values because of this. So when does this value show up, and how does it show up, and how am I intentionally honoring that value on a regular basis? This is the beginning of your leadership philosophy. So we do hope that all leaders will know what they believe in, what they stand for, what they value most in life. Remember, feedback is a gift. It's awakening or affirming. We know that. Thank you for your time. What will you do to become the best, most exemplary leader you can possibly be, knowing that we are all humans, perfectly imperfect human beings, and recognizing that we can use the support. Count on your accountability partners, your accountability people in your life. So if we've assigned you somebody and you're just not gelling, that's okay. You can get other people around you, personal or professional, to help you and say, hey, can we just check in on a regular basis so that I can accomplish my goals? And by the way, if you have goals that you want to accomplish, I am more than happy to help you as well. So we'll see you soon. Call on us if you need us. We are here for you. And do know that we are rooting on you. We are rooting for you, and we are looking forward to hearing about all your successes moving forward.